Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for today's video. And in light of the news that come out yesterday, the Brazilian Federation have dropped Antony from the Brazilian squad. We're going to discuss Jadon Sancho as well later on in the video. Stay tuned for that one. Get involved in the comments and don't forget to smash that like button. First of all, what do you make to that news yesterday that come out about Antony?
Well, the news what came out about Antony, and due to the fact that it became public, which is baffling to me, the Brazilian squad have dropped him for the September. At the moment, it's just September. But you've got to ask yourself who and why this information has come out when it's already been investigated with the authorities. Baffling, really. And the motivation behind it, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, just for anyone out there who's not already read it, a statement from the Brazil national team reads, due to the facts that became public this Monday involving striker Antony from Manchester United, and which need to be investigated, and in order to preserve the alleged victim, the player, the Brazilian team and the CBF, the entity informs that the athlete has been withdrawn from the Brazilian team.
Well, it's to protect everyone. That's why they've done it. It protects everyone, to be honest with you. When you look at the Brazilian FA and their track record with corruption and everything else like that, I think it's just to protect themselves from any bad ads what they get. I wouldn't really take into account what they're saying about everybody. I don't really think they're that too bothered about everybody. I think they're just looking after themselves, to be honest.
Yeah, Antony also released a statement as well. So for anyone out there, again, who's not read it, he says, out of respect for my fans, friends and family, I feel obligated to speak publicly about the false accusations I have been victim of. From the beginning, I have handled this issue seriously and respect, providing the due clarifications to the police authority. The police inquest is under cover of justice and therefore I cannot make its content public. However, I can say with confidence that the accusations are false and that the evidence already produced and more to be produced show that I am innocent of the accusations made. My relationship with Miss Gabriella was tumultuous with verbal offences from both sides, but I never practiced any physical aggression. Every time, whether in testimony or in interview, she presents a different version of the accusations. Now, your thoughts on that?
Well, he's felt obliged to come out and make a comment he didn't want to make. It was under the jurisdiction of the authorities over there. He was dealing with it. He's took it in all seriousness. I think it's a great way to come out. What he said made it clear what's going on. Things were made public on Monday through a newspaper, and he felt obliged to come out. And he shouldn't really have to come out. But in my view, he's been forced to come out, but made it quite clear what's gone on, what type of relationship he's been involved with. So to me, I think he's done the right thing. And I think being here in Manchester, being out of the Brazil squad, will do him the world of good, really. And hopefully it'll just calm down. But I think he'll have questions to he'll be asking about why's this come out publicly when I've been dealing with it in all seriousness and also been dealing with the authorities. This should never have been made. There is an investigation going on, and I'm puzzled by it, and I'm sure Antony's puzzled by it, and many of yous out there.
Well, the judge and the courts, the police, they frown upon an alleged victim making things public as well. You know, a lot of people out there will even know that themselves. So for her to make it public, it sets alarm bells ringing at the moment for me that, you know, this accusations, they could be false. But, you know, people will make comparisons as well to Mason Greenwood as well. But as it stands now, from where I am, you know, Mason Greenwood was arrested, he was charged, and there was a lot more material out there than there is with Antony currently. So as it stands, you know, I'm fully behind the player.
Well, I look at it this way, two different scenarios, completely polarised by what really the allegations are. I'm not torn between Antony. I'm not torn between the allegations and that. I just look at it as simple as this. Everything I've read, everything I've seen boils down to what she says and what he says. And to be honest with you, I've seen it thousands of times and they just go nowhere. Why the allegations are being made, why he's having to make a statement. Yes, people will question that, but it's what she says, he says, and he has said that they've got a volatile verbal nature. Listen, thousands of people have got that. You see, it's more common now because of social media and what goes on in people's private lives, verbal abuse and all that from both sides. That's what Antony says it is. Look, at the end of the day, I don't know who's going to be telling the truth when it comes down to it, and I very, very much doubt anyone else can. So at the end of the day, I think the investigation will carry on. It'll be looked at, and I think what will happen, it'll just get quietly put to the side. And maybe this is one of the reasons why it came out publicly. And you've got to ask yourself who done that and why.
Moving on to Jadon Sancho, overwhelming comments on our channel backing Erik Ten Hag yesterday, and it was great to see.
The manager's going to win. This clearly, over the last 24 hours, has developed a little bit more. Things have been coming out to suggest that there's been a battle going on for quite a while, trying to get rid of Jadon Sancho, transfer requests, or not even people requesting Jadon Sancho go to Chelsea and things like that. Not too sure about them reports, but there has clearly been issues behind the scenes. As I see it, Ten Hag has worked hard with him, but has just had enough of him. He can see what's going on. He's not putting in the work. Jadon Sancho doesn't see that. But then Jadon Sancho, over his career, with the reports what come out about his attitude and his behaviour, only sees it from his point of view, and clearly doesn't like to see it from any other point of view.
Yeah, I think I think Erik Ten Hag should be clamping down on this straight away. And I don't expect Jadon Sancho, on a personal opinion, to be getting anywhere near this Manchester United team from when he comes back up until January. We did discuss yesterday on yesterday's video, would it be a point to prove for Erik Ten Hag to throw him in for, let's say, 3 games and let the player try and prove to everyone else what he is and he wants to fight for the badge? But for me, if he was to do that, I think he'd just fall on his own sword, Sancho, and he wouldn't provide anything more than what we've already seen. And what we've already seen is average performances. I can't remember 3 performances on the bounce from Sancho where he's actually given a 7, 8 out of 10 performance, or a performance you really say, yeah, that's the Jadon Sancho we bought. And, going into his 3rd year now, how long do you actually give him?
Yeah.
It's too long now. A player that you're paying massive amounts of money for every single week, big transfer fee. The big problem is you're paying him them wages. There's no other club out there who's going to want to take them wages on. And it goes for a lot of players here still at the club. We're going to find it hard to shift them out of this football club until the contracts maybe expire.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with Jadon Sancho. The amount of money, same as with Harry Maguire and Donny van der Beek. We've still got that problem here. Ten Hag's dealing with it, and you have to back your manager all the way. It's a problem. Lots of managers previous to Ten Hag have had the same problem, and the players seem to have won the battle every time. Well, they're not going to win this battle, and it was glad to see that people in the comments and that was right behind Erik Ten Hag. He has done everything for Jadon Sancho, and Jadon Sancho has only got himself to blame on this one.
Do you not sense there's like a lot more cohesion behind the scenes with Erik Ten Hag and the staff, that he can actually make these big decisions, these big calls, and then whatever he decides, the club will actually go with? Compared to previous managers like Solskjaer, it seemed to me Solskjaer was maybe more of a puppet for what was going on behind the scenes with, like, let's say, Ed Woodward. He'd go out and actually probably buy the players and tell Solskjaer, there you go, that's what I've got you.
I think what you see in Erik Ten Hag is the management skills he's got. His word is God. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not God at the moment, because that's where Sir Alex Ferguson got. He eventually got, his word was God. And I think that's the way Erik Ten Hag wants it, and quite rightly so. He needs to dominate every aspect of this club. Its ingoings, its outgoings, whatever's going on, he needs to dominate it. And I think he started on that road last year, and you've seen him take charge. And he's going to take charge of this. And I think he's already took charge of certain things, dealt with them. But this here, big signing, big name player, just doesn't perform. And at the end of the day, you have to perform. And Erik Ten Hag clearly seen that he's not performing. And when you stop performing in training, then you're finished. It's as simple as that.
The thing is with me, you look back to when he went over to Holland, I think the majority of the fan base supported him. You look at any other clubs, any other players that have played for Manchester United, in recent years that have come with a big price tag. I'm not too sure they would have got the same support that Jadon Sancho got with the United fan base. You look when he went and made his debut, or his comeback, shall I say, after that stint in the Carabao Cup. the reception that he got on the sidelines. You had Erik Ten Hag stood there with him with a beaming smile. It was like he was a proud father again, and everything's been given to him. So he's got no excuses, I don't think, Jadon, about people being unfair to him, the coaches, the manager, etc. And I just think it's got to the point where, this just doesn't work out. Things don't work out with players and football clubs sometimes. And he's come over there. He clearly doesn't like the intensity that he's expected to put in training from Erik Ten Hag. So if you don't like it, go and find another club that, you can go and just do it at your own pace whenever you want.
Well, Jadon Sancho has to accept his own responsibility for what's going on. If you look at Erik Ten Hag, when he did go to Holland and train, that's where Erik Ten Hag sent him. What you do is, I think when you look at that, I think it was more support for Erik Ten Hag and his management skills in the way he was dealing with a player what wasn't living up to what it was. It was an expensive signing. Potential was always there, probably still is there.
But I think Jadon Sancho was given a lot more support as well, because Erik Ten Hag sort of made it clear as well, he was suffering physically, but also mentally. So I think he got obviously a lot of leeway from a lot of people with that, especially looking at the mental aspect of it. So people give him time, but you can't just keep coming out and sort of implying as though like there's more going on in the background, maybe in his personal life, because if there is, surely there's been conversations around that in the past with Erik Ten Hag, the coaching staff, the club, and they're more than aware of it if there is a problem, because you just can't keep calling wolf. You can't keep the boy who cries wolf kind of thing. You can't keep doing that.
I'm not sure if he's crying wolf, but you can't carry on.
In his eyes, he's being made a scapegoat.
Yeah, well, you can't carry on. That's what I was saying. But you can't carry on. I'm not too sure about what excuses he's using, because he's not come out with it. And I don't think you'll get that, because to me, Jadon Sancho is always full of excuses. So whatever he comes out with, I think at times we're going to have to take with a pinch of salt, because this isn't over. But the one thing what is over is Erik Ten Hag will get his way. He's the manager and we all back him.
Do you know what baffles me though? Pre-season last year, pre-season this year, him and Martial look sharp. Martial obviously didn't go into this pre-season, but the season before, they look sharp, they look on it. But then when it comes into the season, it's like they just fade away. What's the problem there? Because them two, the season before, looked our sharpest players. Sancho in pre-season, again, this one, he looks sharp. You look at the goal against Arsenal that he scored, and then the start that he got against, was it Lyon? It might have been another team. He looked very sharp up front as that false nine. So what's the problem?
I think the answer's there, right in front of us all. Pre-season, that's their standard. I look good. I work to my limit. I work to my limit in pre-season because that's my standard. That's how I see it.
Do you think then they look at it and think, well, because I've performed in pre-season, I should automatically then be placed in the starting 11 in the first few games?
I'm not sure how they look at it. I'm just baffled how they look at it. But when they're only looking good in pre-season, then that tells you the level they're at, and then they can't improve once they go off, once they get back from pre-season. That's the level. If that's all we can talk about, Martial at the moment and Jadon Sancho in performances is pre-season, then that in itself 100% tells you the level they're at, and it's there for all of us to see.
Yeah, I think there's bad seeds in that dressing room, to be honest with you. The mentality of they have nothing to prove, and we've heard a former captain come out with that in the past. And at Manchester United, you need to prove yourself every single day, and that includes training, like Erik Ten Hag said about Sancho. I'm going to wrap it up there. I just thought I'd do a short video on the latest news, latest discussion, just to get you all involved. If you've enjoyed it, please smash a like on the video. If you're new to the channel as well, think about subscribing, and we will be back tomorrow with another video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and it's much appreciated. Thank you.